Kyren Lacy has been vindicated, months after his name was released to the press as being the cause of a crash that resulted in the passing of a 78-year-old Marine veteran. Because an investigative report completed by the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office determined that, contrary to the investigation conducted by LSP, Kyren Lacy was not actively passing vehicles when the crash occurred, but was back in his own lane, while the crash occurred at least 72 yards in front of Kyren Lacy's vehicle. They released video evidence that conclusively showed the crash occurred 72 yards in front of Kyren Lacy's green Charger. And their report stated that not only were LSP findings incorrect, but the evidence they submitted didn't even support a hit and run charge, because there was no way Kyren should have known that his actions caused a crash that happened almost a football field in front of him. Despite the evidence, LSP is still trying to posthumously blame Kyren Lacy and has released their own video, which does not show the crash, but shows Kyren's vehicle passing 4 other vehicles and moving back into his lane, followed by the audio of an impact. And they released body cam footage that shows a witness who was about 6 vehicles away from the crash, blaming Kyren Lacy's vehicle as causing the crash. And what might have initially been considered overzealousness by LSP rushing to assign blame before conducting a thorough investigation is starting to look a lot more sinister, because Kyren Lacy's attorney released other body cam footage that shows an LSP officer went to the home of a witness who was the driver of the gold pickup truck that was directly in front of one of the vehicles involved in the crash, and directly across from the other vehicle, which would make him the primary witness. And the body cam appears to show the LSP officer urging the primary witness of the crash to use language that implicated Kyren Lacy's vehicle, the green Charger, even after the witness clearly told police that the woman behind him caused the crash because she was tailgating him, and she couldn't even see the green Charger because she was so close behind the primary witness. After which, the body cam was abruptly turned off, and the interview somehow resulted in a statement that completely contradicted the witness, which explains why the witness refused to sign it. So it begs the question, why would LSP base their entire investigation on the word of a witness who wasn't even within 100 yards of the crash occurring, who was 6 cars away from the accident, when the primary witness, who was less than 20 feet away from the actual crash, told them exactly how the accident occurred and who caused it? And even at the scene, the woman who was driving the other car involved in the crash said that she just saw the car in front of her slam on his brakes and she tried to avoid. She never mentioned a green Charger. And according to the report from the DA's office, the woman didn't even mention seeing the green Charger until 2.5 weeks later on January 3rd, when LSP visited her in the hospital and brought up the green Charger by asking her, "Before you turn left, are you looking at a green Charger coming at you?" And she responds with, "The green Charger came, then the car came behind me, behind them, the truck, van, whatever." The officer never seeks any further clarification of that statement. Instead, he just tells her what to write on her statement. Why would the officer be the first to bring up the green Charger to the woman who hit the other vehicle if that was the reason that she turned into oncoming traffic in the first place? Why would the officer tell the primary witness who was driving the gold pickup to make sure to write that the Charger was coming at him head on and that he had to slam on the brakes. That writing that was very important because they needed that to find the green Charger. And when the witness said that's not what happened, the officer turns off the body cam and allegedly writes the statement himself. Why wasn't it included in the reports that there was video evidence that showed that Kyren Lacy let out a passenger who was said to be his cousin, but police allegedly refused to even speak to this witness? Now it's looking like they needed a legitimate reason to target Kyren Lacy, who was just 2 days away from declaring for the 2025 NFL Draft when he saw the accident occur. But since he wasn't involved, continued on to his football practice, which according to some sports analysts, Kyren was almost guaranteed to be a first-round 2025 NFL Draft pick. This must have been a regular route for him in his green Charger. And when you consider that even after they had access to video evidence and witness statements that not only cleared Kyren Lacy, but also pointed the finger at another driver who was actually ticketed for tailgating and whose own initial statement never mentioned a green Charger, LSP still released a statement naming and charging Kyren Lacy with negligent taking out, felony hit and run, and reckless operation of a vehicle just 5 days before the declaration deadline for the NFL Draft. Kyren was then vilified in the media, and then just 2 days before he would have been cleared by a grand jury based on the video evidence and the investigative report submitted by the DA's office that noted several mistakes in LSP's handling of the case, Texas police received a disturbance call from an alleged female family member that stated Kyren was at his own apartment with his brother and cousin when an argument occurred, which resulted in him firing a weapon into the ground before leaving his apartment. And 20 minutes later, police spotted Kyren driving and allegedly initiated a high-speed chase that resulted in Kyren's car crashing after he received fatal self-inflicted blicky wounds while he was still driving the car. Police said they recovered the blicky in the car and have stipulated that they did not fire upon the car after the crash, but they did not clarify whether they had done so during the chase. Now, according to his lawyer, Kyren was aware that the video evidence that proved his innocence would be heard by a grand jury in 2 days, evidence which would subsequently be released to the public. But for some reason, a young man who, based on his career goals and game stats, had to have perseverance, focus, mental strength against constant taunts from fans of the opposition and public criticism, in the face of knowing his full vindication was a mere 2 days away, was just done? Does the timeline for all of this just seem way too suspect to anyone else? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching.